This is a screencast for a web development framework that I wrote called Chicago Boss. The first bit of code for it was typed up in 2008, and development continues to this day. It's a framework written in Erlang. I found myself wanting to write a website in Erlang and didn't really like the tools that were available, so I decided to write some of my own. Now, you might want to know why anyone would want to write a website in Erlang. There are a few things I like about Erlang. First one is that it's a functional language. Ergo, you can do functional programming. This makes it easy to find bugs, and a lot of times you can have much more succinct code than with other declarative, imperative programming paradigms. I just happen to like it. Second reason I like Erlang is that it tolerates latency very well. Now, if you have a website and database always returns very quickly, then this isn't really important. You can get away with using synchronous I/O if your database is always coming right back. But if you got situations where certain requests take a longer amount of time, or you got a situation where somebody pushes some code and there's a slow query, and then not only is the database hosed, but all the web application nodes just run out of RAM because they've got all these requests backing up, then you might want to check out Erlang, because it uses asynchronous I/O, which just means that if a request is taking a long time, then it doesn't lock up that RAM while the process waits for a response. The same process will go and work on another request, and so it's more efficient in those circumstances. So it's worth looking into if you got some latency issues, or potentially have latency issues. The third thing that I like about Erlang is that it tolerates failure very well. It's just built from the ground up to deal with various sorts of failures, and as a result, it's a popular platform amongst banks and telecoms and our other favorite institutions. In any event, these all seem like pretty good qualities to me, so I wanted to try it out. And I ended up writing a framework. Now, you might want to know why you should use Chicago Boss. And I can't give you one good reason. No one good reason. I've been doing web programming, I guess since about 2003. Got started with Apache PageKit, which is done in Perl, and then also programmed with Ruby on Rails and Tomcat, PHP, Mason. And with each of these, there was always something that kind of bothered me. So I decided, if I ever was to write a web framework, I'd just try to get all the details right. So this is my attempt to get the details correct. And we'll just go through, and I'll talk about some of them as we build a little example application. So instead of yapping at you more and typing into TextEdit, I'm going to go over to a console and show you how to get started with Chicago Boss. First thing you want to do is download the latest version, chicagoboss.org. As of this typing, the latest version is 0.4.1. You can just wget that, bring her on down, and open it up, CD into it. And what do we have? Well, take a look around. We got a lot of files that are in all caps, and some that are in lowercase letters. Now, the files that are in all caps, we got admin, doc, include, source. These are all things that you probably shouldn't touch unless you want to mess with the Boss core. If you're just building an application, you should just deal with the files that start with a lowercase letter. And this convention's in place to make it easy to upgrade, because you just copy over all the lowercase file names from your old project into the new directory. So we don't actually install anything to start messing with Chicago Boss. We just download and start hacking right in the source directory. Alright, just to look around here, we've got a config file. We also have the model, the view, and the controller, which will form the heart of our application. We have a mail directory, and that is its own little MVC for sending email. So it'll have Django templates for generating HTML and plain text email, which gets sent out. There's also a static directory, which will have CSS, JavaScript, and image files, and then there's a test directory, which we can use to write functional tests that verifies that our application works as expected. But anyway, that's what we got, and I want to start out by actually I want to do a make. I got to build the application here. So it'll just go through, compile this to Beam, and throw it into the ebin directory. If we take a look around now, it's created a few more directories too. There's lang, which will have various internationalization files. There's lib, where we can just put various helper functions that we want. And there's log, which just has log files. Should not come as any kind of shock. Alright, so Boss is built, and we can start up the server. We've got two start scripts. There's start dev, and there's just start. The start dev starts the development server, and the development server is different from the production server in two ways of interest. One is that the source files are automatically recompiled upon every request, or rather, the timestamps are checked, and it compiles or recompiles source files if they're older than the compiled version. Whereas in the production, it'll just compile everything upon server startup, and then not touch the file system after that. Second difference is that the production server runs in the background, but the development server, as we'll see, runs in the foreground and gives us a nice set of error reports, progress reports, info reports, etc., and gives us a little console where we can type commands directly into the server if we so desire. But I do not so desire at the moment. Instead, I want to go over to my web browser of choice and type in localhost 8001. That's the port it's running on. Hit return. Got a little web page. Boss says hello. This just means that our server is running correctly. Got a bunch of links down here. We'll talk about them later. The main thing to know is that shit's working. Good to know. Alright. Next thing we're going to do, just for kicks, is to show how to make a page that shows up on the server. I'm going to go to another terminal, cd, into our source directory. And so for this demonstration, I'm going to make an application for displaying a database of books. I like books. We're going to do books. So the first thing I'm going to do is make dir view/book. That'll have all of our book templates. And to start, I just want a list of books. So this is just a new HTML file. It's actually a Django template file, but I'm not going to do any Django stuff for now. Whoopsie. Title, my books, title, and I'm just going to make a real dumb basic web page. These are my books. Each one, make a little table of these guys. Now for my book database, I want to know the author. I'm going to want to know the title. I'm going to want to know, let's say, the publication year. Alright. And just to get things going, I'm going to put some fake info here. Stephen King will be my author. And we've got, I don't know, it. And I don't know when that was published. We'll say 1978. We'll replace this with, variables, so it's actually a dynamic application and not just a static HTML file. But anyway, finish out this template file, close her down, go over to the browser, and if we navigate to localhost/book/list, we see the HTML that we just made. Unfortunately, we're out of time, so I can't show you how to actually interact with the database, but that will be covered in the next episode. Until then, peace.